Hi, everybody, and welcome to Small Steps, Big Life. My name is Nathan Aswell, and it is my great pleasure to speak to Barry Friedman, the man with a million words in front of his name to describe him, and I think I'm just going to let him say that. I know him as the leader of a fantastic process that I shared with him last summer called Showbiz Blueprint. I'm sure he'll get into that, but I'm sure he's got a lot more that he would like to share with us. Barry, welcome.
Yeah, thanks, Nathan, and everybody. Thanks so much. Really excited to be here with you. Yeah, we met during a 10-week course, and I learned a lot about the people who are in that course throughout the 10 weeks and beyond. No one ever leaves. I say blueprinters for life, and I sure really enjoy just learning what people are doing and finding out where they're playing bigger and where I can play along. So fun.
Yeah. And I found out about you through our mutual friend Jerry Goldstein. And Jerry was scheduled to be a part of this show a couple of weeks ago, and we just ran into some PC trouble. So I'm hoping that she can be a guest pretty soon, next week or in the near future, because I think the world of her too.
Oh, good. Yeah, she's great. Yeah. Nice. Great resource for musicians who are looking for the business side of touring and everything. I've been on her email list for years, and she's been a real supporter of. We've helped each other with. There's a lot of cross-pollination in our audiences, so I like that. Yeah.
I just want to say hello to some people that have come on and joined us. Play It Daily Ukulele. Wow, that's a great handle. You know that person?
Great guy. I do. Dano. Yeah, he's a great guy. Yeah.
Welcome down.
He's got me into this thing. I was a normal, healthy man until I got into Play It Daily Ukulele. This thing. Darn this thing. This is my second one, Nathan. I have two now. It's not good.
Wow. That's serious, man.
Sure it is. I have an office one and a home one, yeah.
Ooh, that is serious. Holy cow. Well, I'm imagining we're going to have to hear that in the next hour. You can't just hold it up and put it away.
Ooh. I don't know, man. You're a real musician. I'm not sure I'd
Nah, I just play one on TV.
Yeah, nice.
So where should we start, Barry? What would you like people to know about you off the top? I mean, you have these wonderful things, juggling being a huge part of your life and being half of the Rospini brothers, and then some very big things have happened to you in the last few years. So where should we start?
I'll do a quick intro.
Sure.
At 15 years old, I was at a summer camp. Somebody taught me how to juggle, and I've never stopped. I'm turning 54 next month. And it's just been an incredible life. I've won 4 World Juggling Championships, appeared on a couple hundred television shows, presidential command performances, Showtime comedy special, a lot of stuff. And it all came from, you know what it came from? Small steps to lead to a very big life. Yeah. And that's really what I have enjoyed doing. I think you're relating to some big stuff that's happened in February of 2007. I flew off a mountain bike, one of my favorite hobbies in the world. Next to ukulele, of course, and shattered my collarbone. So that led me to creating. Really, it opened a door, and it felt like such a door closer at first, as accidents tend to do. But the truth is, it opened a door for. I was begging. I was actually living my life, wondering what's next. Can I just keep being a touring juggler and being on TV and performing at corporate events and making great money performing at corporate events all over the world for the rest of my life? And there was a part of me that didn't really want to. And so when we ask for something, it always comes to us. And here's the trick. Never in a package that we expect it to come in. So this came in a form of a pretty radical mountain bike accident. This little thing right here was installed in my collarbone. It's a shish kebab pin. I always keep it on my desk to remind what I'm doing. And, having that thing in me gave me a lot of time, about 6 months without juggling, without being able to move this right hand very well. And I started thinking about what else I could do, what else could I do for the world that has been as much fun as what I've been doing. My wife had a great line. She said, "You're really good at selling a juggling act for a lot of money." And that got me thinking, and that helped me create a number of different online courses I have for entertainers who I've helped probably, maybe between my 2 courses, 3 or 3,500 entertainers around the world. And that's been very rewarding, very rewarding. See entertainers be able to play at the level they want. I've always been in love with the business side of show business. And going on stage was like, Oh yeah, I'll do that too. I like that too. It's all right. But the truth is, I really enjoyed the puzzle of the business side a whole lot more.
Hmm.
And yeah, I hooked up with a guy in 1982, Dan Holzman. He's been my partner to this day. So we're at year 34 of Raspini brothering around the world. And like I said, mostly at corporate events and occasionally events that are pretty cool and special. So, yeah.
So that continues. The Raspini brothers continue. They're alive and well.
They continue. We just did a tour of Southern California. We did a handful of theater shows down in Southern California, and yeah, handful of corporate shows. We just got invited to go do a show for the King of Spain, the King of Liechtenstein, and the King of Monaco. I don't know if it's going to work out, but it's fun to get invitations. I've done 6 TED conferences, and the most remarkable invitations in the world come from being involved in the world of TED. So I really, really, really like that.
Cool.
Yeah.
So who inspired you? Not who inspired you, because it sounds like this was a gene that was in you that was waiting to get activated. Mm-hmm. This is, the business side of show business. But who helped you cultivate and develop these online programs?
Oh, let's see. I've had a number of mentors along the way in that. I think when I was laying there, I hadn't done anything in 2007 with teaching, building a coaching program, having an online portal, whatever. I hadn't done anything about that. And when I broke my collarbone, I started thinking about, wow, how can I get this message out if I want to create some other business that doesn't look like what I've been doing, which is getting on an airplane with 6 juggling machetes and a mouthful of ping pong balls that I can juggle. So I started looking for mentors, people who were playing well. I learned a lot from a guy named Jeff Walker. He's been a real inspiration to me. Ryan Lee's been a really great model of how to just communicate using real words and not sounding like a bunch of marketing hype. Mm-hmm. And then, gosh, there's just, Nathan, there's so many. Oh, we all right?
Yeah, we're all right. Sorry, the microphone on my computer is very sensitive and picks up everything within a couple of blocks. So all is well.
Oh my God, I was ready to get under the desk. It sounded like the old signal they used to play in LA when they thought there was going to be a nuclear attack.
All is well.
Yeah, so there's so many great tools and technologies available now for building a course and putting stuff out that it's probably not nearly as difficult as it used to be. And that's good because I'm not an overly technical person. I know how to do a few things. And I've learned what I need to do, and I've learned what I don't need to do. And being able to hire a small team to help me get going. And so I can really stay. And one thing I talked about in Showbiz Blueprint a lot is certainly how we stay in the genius and pleasure zone of what we love doing. And I think that's been one of the biggest helps for me to always bounce it back between, is this something I'm really good at? Is this something I need to be doing? Is this something that I enjoy doing? Those two pieces are real guides. I also have a mission statement right here in front of my desk that I always live by. And this is what I bounce everything I want to do off. I am working and I'm doing everything in my business so that my family never has to endure the fear, scarcity, or lack that landscaped my childhood and delayed my success. Mm. And boy, having a mission statement like that, a big why of why I'm operating my business, makes it really clear for me what I need to be doing and what I need to not be doing. Mm. Yeah.
Wow. Mm. And I would like to acknowledge something that I think is one more very cool thing about you is you're a very strong advocate of working standing up. Yeah. Yeah. So
no chairs. In my office,
So tell people about that because I think it's great.
Yeah, there's a different energy that comes across even when I'm writing or if I'm working solo or if I'm on a podcast, if I'm on a telephone call with a client. I think people can always tell there's something a little bit off about me. And yeah, that, we can talk about the obvious, but the truth is it's really good. It feels good and helps with the weight. Have some different things I stand on sometimes to keep my feet moving. But as you can tell, I probably don't stand still very much. But yeah, sitting for me seemed very unnatural. It seemed like a very closed posture for being creative. Mm-hmm. I felt like I was bent. And here I just feel like the highest parts of me are high and the heart's beating and I can stay active. And I built a really cool kind of tabletop desk here.
Well, that's my next question. So your desk is your own creation? There isn't some manufacturer that you're endorsing or that you really like or anything?
No, it's actually a really cool desk. Wow.
It's okay. No, I know it's a lot of work to move your camera.
No, it's funny. I just built a tabletop
cool.
out of an old table, and it was really fun. And it's on 4 like 18-inch tall legs. So yeah, everything just stands here, and it's really nice to be able to be upright and working. I love that. So yeah, and so I work in 50-minute hours. Typically, I'll do 50 minutes on a project, and then take 10 minutes either run with my border collie, do some push-ups. Spin the giant sitting exercise ball on my finger, or maybe that's never happened on your podcast before. It's just something to get the heart going and and change the mindset a little bit. And then I usually come back and work for another. So yeah, work a couple hours a day, and boy, there's always a lot of great things to do.
It's I'm smiling as you're saying all this. I just love the synchronicity of things. I just finished developing a workshop called Small Steps, Big Life, Overcoming Overwhelm. And you just hit on a couple of things that I talk about. One is, are you familiar with Amy Cuddy's TED Talk about power poses?
Oh, yes. I forget the name, but yeah, the power pose is wonderful.
And so that's one of the things I invite people in the workshop to do, is to stand up and assume a power pose. And I'm just thinking about you standing versus sitting, how you are just in a much more open, empowering position all day.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I was thinking of is Jim Lair and Tony Schwartz books, The Power of Full Engagement, how it's important to take breaks regularly. We're not designed to work any longer than 90 to 120 minutes max. So here you are embodying that so completely, Good for you.
Yeah, that would be hard to pull off 2 hours in a row. I do some coaching calls sometimes, but I also do those standing up and with the microphone here. And usually headphones on, so the world's a little more closed down.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's wonderful to see you embodying it more than just, I'm doing this because someone said I should. You're doing it because you know that that's how you can be at your best. And
big changes when I quit sitting down. For one thing, no lower back pain. Boy, I was having some lower back pain, and I thought, wow, maybe I was meant to just be on airplanes and out doing shows and things and not work with computers and not stay still. But boy, standing up cured all of that. It feels so good. And it keeps my 32-inch manly waist in shape.
Nicely done.
Which was 38 before I
really
got into a new project, which we're happy we can talk about too.
Wow.
You know what I've been.
Yeah, launch, man. Go ahead, because I would like you to speak about. I'm aware basically of 2 programs that you offer, but yeah, let's let people know what you do.
Yeah, so Leap Day 2012, a little over 4 years ago, my then 9-year-old son asked me what I was going to leap for Leap Day. We had just finished eating a big, gnarly frozen yogurt with all the accoutrements and disgusting stuff, and I told him I'm going to leap sugar for the day. So that was the 28th of February 2012. On Leap Day itself, I went without sugar. Woke up on March 1st feeling hugely powerful and just like, what did I do yesterday? How do I feel this good? How did I sleep this well? Why did I not eat any of the normal stuff that I always eat? Boy, and wouldn't you know it, as it was, I said, I'm going to try 30 days of this. And about day 21 into that 30 days, I said, I feel like I'm reborn, literally like I have a new life. And I said, I'm going to go for this for a year. I decided to do the year even before the 30 days was up. And well, after about 18 months of that, people started asking me about how do you do sugar-free? What's it like to live without any added sugar in your life? So wrote a book.
I love me.
Wrote an awesome book.
Wow. Huh.
Yeah, great book. Started an online program, used a lot of the same technology that I knew about from doing the stuff with entertainers and showbiz. And now that one's just really running amok. It's wonderful. It's getting members from all over the world. And every single month, on the first of every month, we start a challenge, a 30-day sugar-free challenge. I'm going to put the, 30daysugarfree.com. I'll put that in the box there in case anyone wants to poke over and take a look at that. And boy, it's really something else, Nathan, to have an idea. And that's the world we live in right now. The ideas come. We don't have to wait. When I was 23, I made my first appearance on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. And until then, there was a couple of years of my career before that, and I'll put career in air quotes. I was doing Renaissance festivals wearing tights and bloomers. But I was out there doing my thing, and it took a guy like Johnny Carson to kind of come down, touch you on the forehead, and say it's your time. And now we don't have that anymore. That's completely gone.
Yeah.
And well, that is very empowering for those of us who are motivated from inside and can follow through and set goals and achieve stuff. It's also a very big curse to people who loved living in their story of why they couldn't do something. I can't get the break. I can't get the record label. I can't get the, whatever it is. This kills that excuse. And it's hard for people to have their greatest excuse taken away. But I will invite anybody, if you have something you love doing and you want to share it with the world, you want to create something about it, boy, do what I did here. Make it happen, yeah, find something. Writing this book was really interesting. Writing a book is a remarkable experience because I sat down thinking I have to know how to write this book. I have to know what I want to do. The truth is I just had to show up. And when I showed up, the text told me what needed to be written. The audience I had created online started to tell me what the big fears were, the big concerns. A lot of stuff took care of itself once I showed up to do the work. And it's a big lesson in all this.
Wow. Were you looking around a second ago for another book? I thought you've only written that one, right? You haven't written another
Yes.
one? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
I have only written one so far.
Sorry.
I may do another book at some point.
Yeah, sorry, I don't mean to diminish that accomplishment. I know that's a big accomplishment, and I congratulate you for that. But
I am. I'm toying with the idea of another book, actually. So we'll see where it comes. But it'll get to the point where I show up, and when I start showing up, the text will come. And it's really interesting how that happens. With writing a book, making a program, writing a white paper, developing 7 tips for perfecting the golf stroke or mastering the ukulele. Hat tilt to Dano there. But really, we have the ability now to create something and get it out to a global audience. Boy. How wonderful is it to have that access? It's a remarkable time to be alive. My son now is 13. He sees me all the time in here, just like the professor at the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain. He's like, what do you do? And I play him a recording of my coaching call sometimes. And the other day he was like, I want to do that. And I was like, yeah, you could do that. It's pretty fun and easy.
Nice. And I know from my relationship with you how important your relationship to your family is. I mean, besides your mission statement, which says it very clearly, but I can't remember how many times where you said, I just came back from a wonderful experience with my family. Or there was even one time, I remember in the middle of the course, you had made arrangements to get a Wi-Fi connection. You were 12,000 feet up somewhere. Remember that?
I was in Leadville. Yeah, Leadville, Colorado, right.
Yeah,
we went on the summer trip, and I was like, nope, it was 10-week course though, so got to take care of biz, and then we went out. And it's fun. I was married to my wife 15 years before we had a kid, and most of that was because of a very rotten childhood. I mean, physical abuse, mental abuse, neglect. Having to really create my own world as a kid, and it took about 15 years till I turned 40 before I thought, okay, I've done a lot of personal work. I can probably raise a child now and not recreate what I had. I had realized enough different ways of playing the world, and finding some power within an experience you and I both share with the Mankind Project.
Yes.
That really helped me get my head on straight around a couple stories that I had in my life that I was sure were just part of my script. But the truth is, once I put them to rest, they went to rest, and I got to rewrite a lot of that. So,
I haven't spoken at all about the Mankind Project on any of these. So why don't you take 30 seconds or a minute or something and just talk about that, if you would.
Oh, I think it's a great weekend for any man in the world to do. If they, and here's my line, I invented this and I told Mankind they can use it because someone heard me say it. If you're not crazy about what you see either out the windshield or in the rearview mirror, it's 48 hours to kind of take a look at what all that means to you, how it drives you. There's so much in the weekend. It's remarkable. I think they happen pretty much anywhere in the world. So, and you and I didn't even know that about each other. I think we were talking about something, and somehow that came up, and you're like, "Oh, I've done that." And I was like, "Wow, how cool is that?"
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I remember you have that wonderful, you have a strong desire to make sure that everybody that works with you feels like it's a good fit. And so you scheduled 15 minutes for us to speak. And I think we were on the phone between half an hour and an hour. And I think knowing that we had both shared that experience was certainly something I appreciated hearing, because, you know, I had a previous experience similar to this that wasn't as positive as I'd hoped it would be. And as soon as I learned that about you, I thought, okay, here's a man of integrity. I can relax and trust this will be a good experience.
Yeah, I'll tell you, before that weekend, it was a lot easier to do what I had done as a kid, which was survive by lying, cheating, and stealing. That stuff was all tied to a very old story that I was able to work with, and have since worked with in weekly groups I go to with some of the guys who did that Mankind Project weekend. So yeah, it's been powerful for me, and certainly not the only way to get work done in life, but boy, grab onto something and find something. So, and I'm helping people do that with the sugar-free stuff now too. It's funny, you know, we have this way we came into the world, and I always say most people in the world have been addicted to sugar since their age minus about 6 months.
Yeah.
So that's how many years really most people have had an unhealthy relationship with sugar. And now it's gotten to the point where we've gone from about 4 pounds a year that the really rich used to do back in the early days of processed sugar to 130, 140, 150 pounds of sugar. And I'm not great at the metric system, but I think that's like 200 kilometers, something like that. That's a lot of sugar. So, yeah. So, you know, and what we do is we have a story about sugar where it satisfies, how we use it to cover emotions, how we use it to cover loneliness. What appears as hunger can often be solved with a glass of water. I got a 2-gallon thing over there and try and kill it every day. So it's nice. And a lot of the times the health that changes when we get a check mark on how we relate with sugar is so game changing that we can't even imagine it all happened. Sleep, skin, anxieties, heart, weight. I never even think about weight. I was never one of the big people, but people always come to the challenge and go, I didn't lose any weight in 30 days. And I'm like, well, how long have you been eating sugar? What's the new relationship you have with it? And are you willing to make another commitment, be it 30 days, be it a week? And let's just keep watching what happens. I've seen it with thousands of people, really what happens when we get a hand on the sugar addiction. And I love it. Boy, and we have an opportunity to choose our path in life. It's what we want to, what fire we want to sit in, and what's too difficult for us to sit in, and what do we choose to just keep doing the same way because it's easier. Yeah. I don't think we answered one question you had yet so far, Nathan.
Yes, we have. Yeah, we're answering.
Okay, cool.
We're answering. They're getting answered. So it sounds to me like your focus is really your sugar-free program. I mean, because I see you as kind of being a multifaceted guy, but as we're speaking, it sounds to me like that's kind of the point on your arrow, as it were.
Well, I have days. I have sort of themed days I try and work with, or at least themed hours within a day, where I give some to the Showbiz Blueprint thing. I just launched that once a year, and it's coming up in a couple of weeks. The launch for that will start for the 2016 edition. But I used to do that 2 or 3 times a year, but it just there's too much on the plate now. So yeah, one time a year every spring, and it's been really fun for the last few years. The sugar-free stuff, private coaching. I do a fair amount of private coaching with about 8 entertainers at a time. I do these wonderful Monday morning kickstart events, Monday morning mindset kickstart events, and those are for entertainers. And it's a 1 hour Monday morning. So I start at 7 a.m. Actually, I get up at about 5 a.m. on Monday morning just to really line up everything I want to talk about for those. And those include hot seats and a new piece of the business we're working on for that week. So there's a lot of points on the arrow.
Yeah, or a lot of arrows in the quiver. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. So I think time management is a big piece of my world, though, and just staying in the places of what I really like and eliminating the things that I don't want to do anymore. Any entrepreneur has to do that. Another little piece of my wall says, I'll never be bigger than myself if I insist on working alone. And when I first started building a team, everything changed. And as long as I believed that, I never thought I could A, afford it, B, know how to manage a team. I mean, I can juggle 5 fire torches, but people, and the truth is, when I started trusting people to do the things that I didn't want to do, those things got done so much better than I ever did them. But that took a lot of trust, and it's a big moat to jump from not having any staff to having a handful of people who do different things.
Mm-hmm. So I would love to hear more about that. It was one person at a time, I'm assuming, okay.
Yeah.
And it's getting clear on what you need help with too.
Yeah, it really is.
But I think what you're saying, kind of starting with, this isn't giving me joy to do this. There must be someone who would enjoy doing this more than me. Would that be kind of your reason, your starting point for asking someone?
I really got good at thinking of my life as far as a dimmer switch. And I think, does this thing I'm going to do right now light me up, or does it turn me down? Mm-hmm. And the things that turn me down, I started just thinking about how low do they bring me? Do they bring me to the point where they actually take away from the things I want to be doing, from the things I'm good at? And if they did, they had to go. So customer service, admin work. There's a lot when you're, and I'll own this, when I'm dealing with people who are my customers for 30 days sugar-free are mainly 45 to 65-year-old women who live in the Midwest. They have a lot of questions on technology. So for me to be in there saying, oh no, you have to click on this, and then you have to click on this, which I did at the very beginning because I didn't know what else I needed. So getting somebody to take that over and having a support ticket system, it's called Zendesk. It's free, it's wonderful, and it lives right on my site with a little help button, and that message gets sent to 4 people at once. It gets sent to me just so I have some record, the website designer, the customer service person, and the tech guy. So it's very clear when it comes through whose it is, and any one of the 4 of us can just assign it to the right person. So by the time I see them, they're usually assigned to the right person. And then it's usually Betsy who works for me in the customer support stuff. And she just takes care of it, gets on the phone with the people, totally over delivers. So is that worth $15 an hour? Maybe it comes to $200 a week. Oh yeah, very worth it to just never deal with how that works again. So that was a huge, that turned up the dimmer pretty bright for me when she first started playing. Getting a guy to run Infusionsoft, which is a beastly skeleton of a software system, but all I knew is that it did what I wanted it to do. It allowed me to send out emails at a certain time. It allowed me to give more content to people if they read certain articles, to do some emailing based on behavior people were showing by what they clicked on. Just wonderful advanced marketing techniques. But boy, to get someone in there to run it and to understood it, who played it like I could play 5 juggling torches. That's heaven. You could look at some of these campaigns that are set up, and they're just hundreds of lines and boxes, and in the boxes there's more lines. And he just said, okay, Barry, there it all is. Fill it in with the content you want. So I just got to write, and I love that. And getting out of my own way and making my own website, that became a real dimmer for me, because I knew whatever I made looked like a 53-year-old juggler made it. And it was terrible. That didn't speak well to the audience that I have for the sugar-free stuff. So yeah, it's about being honest with ourselves, with myself, and just taking a look at what turns down the dimmer and what fears do I have to overcome in order to hire someone. And Nathan, every time the results have been more than I imagined, more than the lizard brain wanted me to believe. That was a big piece of it.
So how did you find these people? Did you find them online? Word of mouth?
Some at live events. The Infusionsoft person, I went to the Infusionsoft live conference in Phoenix right when I joined Infusionsoft. And after about a half a day at a 4-day conference, I realized, wow, this is really what I need. And like an hour later, I realized, wow, I don't want to be doing this. So I was hanging out in a room with 3,000 at the convention center in Phoenix with about 3,000 people who were into it. So I just started talking to people and found someone who was really, really wonderful. And and then someone says, "Oh yeah, I charge $120 an hour to do this." I'm like, "Oh," and then I'm like, "Wait a minute, what small stupid message in me makes me think that's unreasonable?" So yeah, I've been with that guy for over a year now, maybe a year and a half. The whole time I've had Infusionsoft, he's been doing that for me. My assistant, I found her on a wonderful outsourcing website called, get this, hiremymom.com. I love that website. I've had some of my best VAs, my best virtual assistants have come through hiremymom.com. Who else? My web designer, I met a long time ago. She did a website for me, I think back in 2008, and I've just always kept her on. She's, become a real trusted source for me. And let's see, heck, who else do I talk to? Customer service. Yeah, about it. And then me. I like to stay big picture. I like to steer the airplanes and just kind of say, hey, here's what we should do. And then we'll all get on the phone like once a month. We'll all get on, the four of us who don't ever talk, and just kind of say what's happening in this, and everybody checks in. And it's kind of nice to hold that together. And if I was a bigger, better boss, I think I'd have like a 3 or 4 day retreat in Hawaii for us all once a year. That's going to be coming up. I'll figure that out. I'm waiting for some of my things to, pop to the next level, but I could always wait for that. So, but it would be really fun to get these people all together in one place and play. And yeah.
Cool. Neat. I should mention now, I think you and I talked about this a little before this actual call, but I would love to pass on any website, any information that you have for people. So obviously we'll be including your website and a link to your book and all that stuff. But, things like Hire My Mom, anything that you would like people to know about that would help them. I'd be happy to post all that stuff underneath the replay. Or whatever, if you want to type things in now, or whatever works for you.
Yeah, no big deal. I can type a bit as I talk. That's a big one. Yeah, then just as far as tools, it's like we could get stuck on the. It's funny when I am in entrepreneur groups, someone will say, "Wow, you're having luck with this. What this you're using? What that you're using? All these things you're using." And the truth is, it all has to kind of come from a why and from a mission statement, really, because the tools are. I don't know. The tools I use are just the ones that I guess I started to feel comfortable with. Right. And I'm sure they could all be wiped out and I'd be fine tomorrow. I've been getting very involved lately in all the wonderful ways to retarget people through Facebook, once they've been to my website. And we've all seen that. Everyone watching this now and in the future will be looking for a shirt or something on REI's website. And then they're on Facebook, and all of a sudden there's an REI ad for that shirt. This kind of retargeting and remarketing is wonderful. And that's been a very handy tool for me. I learned everything about this from this wonderful guy here, John. Hello.com. I just put a site down there for him. He's a great Facebook teacher, and all his free stuff. I don't think I've ever even bought a product from him, actually. But his free stuff is so remarkable. And it was something I wanted to learn about. So it wasn't something I had to do, but it's something I really enjoyed doing. And I still enjoy playing with the Facebook advertising and the targeting. And then when someone visits my site and then they go on Facebook, they can see some of my stuff because, boy, I'll tell you, one of the biggest things we do in business is we help people make decisions. A plumber, you go to buy a car, or a plumber comes to your house, and, I don't care what tools he's using. I just want, when we flush, for the stuff to not come back up. So, really, the bottom of it, we help our clients make a decision. Do they want to get out of the situation they're already in, or do they want to stay in that place? And whatever we can do. So, me showing up when someone goes on Facebook after they've been on my website, wonderful way to invite them to something else, to give them something else free, to invite them to a webinar. So, I really enjoy the new marketing tools that are available to people in business nowadays. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's very clear in everything that I know about you, good sir, how much you want to help people. That's very clear that's what the link is.
I love that. Yeah, it feels like a disservice to me to show up in somebody's life and let them just click away or not follow up with them, because there's a moment especially in the sugar side, I've been really finding this. I've built a list of a little over 10,000 people now. When somebody in that moment of weakness, maybe they feel terrible, Nathan, or maybe they just got back from overeating, or maybe they just got diagnosed from a doctor. I mean, I really think I have 4 avatars. I have people who are healthy but want to look for something else. I have people who are unhealthy and have tried some stuff and looking for something else. I have people who were recently diagnosed ill. And gosh, I haven't had my notes. I'm panicking under pressure here. There's one more avatar that I really like to talk to, and I have to speak to each of those people differently, through my ads or whatever. But in that moment of weakness, when they say, "Wow, I wonder what it would be like to go 30 days sugar free," and they put their name and email in the box, and I send them some free stuff, and I start writing to them, I think it's my responsibility at that point that they have asked for, "Hey, Barry, keep me on this, keep me accountable," even though they haven't maybe bought a program or signed up for a challenge or bought my book or whatever. They have said in some moment where they found some sobriety inside themselves that maybe there's something else for me. It's my responsibility to keep serving them until they opt out, until they say, "No, I don't want to hear from this guy anymore." And then that's fine. That's wonderful. List churn is part of the game. I mean, new people come in every day and some people go out. Sometimes I write something that's too forward and I get like 20 opt-outs. And I think, fine, I wrote it from my heart. I wrote it meaning to help. And if it didn't connect with somebody, I hope they find what they do need, whatever that is. Because it's probably not me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. And what are you reaching for there?
You got my brain stuck on this other avatar I write about.
Okay.
No, but you keep talking. I'm listening. I'm telling you, man, I was left with a tad of obsessive compulsive disorder when I was from my childhood.
It's so funny. It's so funny to know you after that time, because I just see you as this pretty relaxed, kinetic guy for sure, but relaxed and present, and so it's just so strange for me to hear you make reference to that other guy, because you've really done your work. It's very clear.
I've done a lot of work. My other avatar, and I mentioned it early in our thing, I say I always forget about losing weight. I never talk about that as one of the benefits of sugar free. That's my other avatar, though, is people I write to, is people who just want to lose weight. So those 4 people are really who have been around my world. So when someone does what it takes to get into my world through signing up for something on my website, I don't let up to them. I don't let up. I continually offer them ideas, recipes, invite them to webinars, get my book, do anything. Yeah, I'll just do anything until people tell me to go away or come into my program, and that's fun too. Yeah.
So one thing that I haven't asked you yet, because we spoke beforehand about the questions I like to ask, and I think you've been doing a wonderful job of answering all of them. Just that turning point. Starting with the turning point of you having the accident. It's just incredible, isn't it? How different your life would have unfolded if that hadn't have happened. The gift that turned out to be.
So true. Yeah, and that got me thinking about. I can think long and hard about. Is there a time in my life when I've really asked for something, really meditated, slept on it, think about it, write about it in a journal, talk to people who are into it, that eventually it doesn't come to be? And what I've come up with is I always do get it, and it never looks like what I expect. I'm pretty open to how things show up nowadays, which is both wonderful and scary.
Right.
Yeah, it really is.
And so that's the other question I wanted to ask you is, inevitably things happen that, can initially look like setbacks, challenges that, throw us off our perceived path. And in the longer term, turn out to be things that move us forward in a way that those events, had they not happened, would not have made us move forward in as rich a way. So obviously you having the accident was one. But your energy is just so positive and I'll use the word relentless, but I mean it in a good way. What I mean is that I don't see you as someone who allows yourself to get stopped by, things that other people could get sunk by, whatever. I don't see you as someone who kind of gets depressed or feels hopeless, or maybe you do, and I don't see that side of you. But what is your secret for all that stuff? What keeps you going when things are challenging? Maybe you've just answered it. Things don't unfold the way you expect, and you're just sort of open to how they unfold and learn to roll with things. But yeah, I would love to hear you say more about all that.
Yeah, it's a good prompt. Let's see where that goes. I will tell you what comes up for me right away when I hear you talking about that is my wife calls it core. My wife teaches parenting classes, and she calls core the center of reliable emotions. And I really think that's important, that for me, that I have somebody who I can be myself with at all the times. I think we're coming up on 30 years here together. Wow. And we just passed 30 years together, actually. And that core is really something where I can let loose to some extent and say, wow, here's something I'm scared at. And that woman, I have no idea how, but man, she believes in me. I'll say something sometime and she'll go, of course you can do that. Or, I got booked to be on this podcast, which is the #1 health podcast in the world. It's called Fat Burning Man. They have over 1 million listeners per episode. And my VA, who I asked to get me on as many podcasts as I can in the health world, that was the first one she booked me on. And she wrote and she goes, this guy's incredible. How's he not been on our podcast already? And, I just gave her a short video message on my media page to send to people, and some of the stuff I've done, the TV shows I've done. And I told Annie, my wife, I'm like, I can't believe this first podcast I'm going to go on talking about sugar. It's this. Because of course it is, and then she's like, you should be hosting that, and you should, all these things. So always having someone who has a bigger vision for me has been invaluable to me. It's allowed me to slowly live up to what others. Somebody had a great line, and I just love it. It was basically, I want to be as cool as my kid thinks I am, and I love that line. So I want to be as cool as my wife thinks I am. So I do like having someone who in my life who I've really trusted with my heart. She's held it at delicate times. We've stood through some really bad times together, some places that are responsible for breaking up, more than 50% of the marriages in this country that we're in here. And, it's scary stuff. Yeah. So I think the core is really good for me. And then having good experiences from childhood. When I was in 11th grade, my high school guidance counselor called me in for that great pre-12th grade talk he has with people. And, what do you want to do? What college you want to go to? And I had learned to juggle a couple summers before, and that was pretty much what my life was about. It was the first thing that felt good, and I wasn't going to stop doing it for anyone. So I shared with him with some enthusiasm that I wanted to be a professional juggler. And from his crusty position on the other side of the desk with his old suit on and, a handkerchief, that the whole thing, I just remember it so well. I found a picture of him on Facebook recently, and boy, that picture is exactly how I remember him. He told me that if I pursued that dream, I'd be broken homeless by 22. And at just after turning 23 was my first time on The Tonight Show. And I stood behind the curtain next to Dale Irving, the wonderful man who opened the curtain for people for 30 years on The Tonight Show, and doing some laughs with him. And I remember just being so out of body thinking, I hope Mr. Pavaliga's watching this right now so that he never tells another kid that. And having that's been a real blessing to me, having that experience where I used something that was meant to be a turnoff, and I've used it my whole life to do something that, I want Mr. Pavaliga to see this. I'd love it. I'd love for him to just know I'm doing this. So when something sounds hard or impossible or scary, I'm like, sign me up. Love that stuff.
So that makes me want to ask you, because I'm sorry that I haven't watched them yet. I want to know what your TED Talks have been like, and are there plans for you to do more? There must be.
Yeah, I started in 2000, did my last one in 2014 up in the new home up there in Vancouver, not far from you, I guess. At their new home. Oh my gosh, is that beautiful. They built a theater inside of a convention center, and it's quite lovely.
Yeah.
I've had the greatest job at TED ever, Nathan. You ready for this? 6 TED Talks, and I've never invented or cured anything. I have this wonderful position with my partner. They fell in love with us early, and we go on. Last time I was introduced at TED, Chris Anderson introduced us as 2 guys who have brought more laughter and joy to TED than anyone in history. And that's what we've always gotten to do, is lighten the mood. We usually go on towards the end of the day and incorporate everything that people have talked about during the day. Because stuff is so heavy at TED. It's so big. It's so out of the box of what we normally think. So to have a couple guys come on and bozo on it a bit and have some fun and juggle ping pong balls out of the mouth and balance China cups up in the air and talk about using mushrooms to clean up oil because someone just did a very impassioned talk about it.
Yeah.
But, so it's been a really nice position. And going back in history, there's always been the court jester, and I think to some extent we've been able to hold that role at TED fairly well. And there's a couple people who did it. One year we did that, our own piece, and we were part of this thing called the Little Kids Collective, and it was Frank Zay Frank, rest me brothers, Jill Sabul, Reeves, who's an excellent slam poet, just wonderful guy, and they just turned us loose. And I think we had 4 or 5 spots throughout TED just to pop the bubble of seriousness, and it was really fun. Late nights. Just what are we going to talk about, and the pressure coming and not knowing when it was going to happen and getting like an hour notice and, having 5 minutes to go up and play. So it was fun. We went on the, it was the year that the Borg set, what was it called? It was the original one. It was like the original Borg set, the little Bluetooth headset that was on. And they had a close-up of it, and they panned out. We made videos at night. We had the whole video crew with us. And I was on a treadmill jogging, and it backed up, and I was butt naked from behind with his earpiece on. But it was the bone or something. I forget what it was called, the head bone or something like that. But anyway, we just had freedom, and if any idea was good, and creating that stuff was very fun. So that's been the engagement at TED over the years. It's just popping that bubble of seriousness, and been great. But a lot of wonderful opportunities come from hanging around that world. The aforementioned things.
Thanks for telling me that. I think I sort of knew that you had spoken a little bit about that, I think last year at some point in Showbiz Blueprint. But the thing that I'm curious about, and I want you to have an opportunity to talk about, is in your description I think it's on LinkedIn, one of the things that you are described as is being an expert. What is it? Expert guest, I think. Right. So that's what I wanted to get to.
Yeah, sure. That's a wonderful thing to talk about. I did I've done, without a college degree, I've done 25 television shows talking about sugar from authoring my book. Right. So, I mean, you can be an expert guest. You don't need to be, there's different kinds of experts in the world. There's a research expert who just researches everything, and that's kind of what I've done with sugar. There's an education expert. There's a experiential expert. If you're out there, you don't have formal training in something, but you've done it your whole life, you're an expert. And TV is hungry. So being on TV news was really a big goal of mine because I always heard that's what authors do when they get on, when they write a book, you want to get on TV. And I talked to a PR firm or two that said, it was like $2,300 for every local news show they got you on. And I thought, oh my gosh, what are they doing? So I took a workshop in LA. I went down to LA for 4 days at this really nice workshop and sat in a think tank with the guy who trained you how to be on TV. I think that workshop was fairly expensive. I think it was around 10 grand, but I figured, that was only 4 workshops. And on the last 2 days of this workshop, they put us in front of 16 or so producers. Each day we met on Skype. The 10 of us in the group did our pitch for TV producers on Skype, and I booked every show.
Wow.
It didn't hurt that I was talking about sugar. And what did I do? I juggled ping pong balls in my mouth during my little 90-second pitch. And I talked about being careful about what you put in your mouth. And every producer was like, we'll have you on right away. So I went and did 16, and then I got invited back. So I've done 25 to date. And then I've taken a break from doing those TV shows. Guest expert is, just wonderful to be on podcasts, to be on, having a book helps. I mean, writing a book these days, you guys, I mean, if I can say anything to your audience out there, if you have something inside of you that can help people, write a book about it. Gives you credibility. You don't the way of getting agents and publishers, wonderful if you can do that, but my gosh, take the Barry step. Don't let that stop you. These are printed beautifully. I just hired people to do the covers for them, to print them. They're sold through Amazon. When someone orders it, they print it up, they mail to them the next day, and I get a check from Amazon every week with residual payments. And as long as you stay active online and social media, build a following, you can sell 50, 100 books a week pretty easily, and it's not bad for never touching a book. I have a handful of them here that I'll just take to events or something. But the old days of having your garage filled with 50 boxes of books, and where am I going to sell these? And yeah, nice to not be involved in that and touch those products.
Right.
Yeah.
So you don't do the speaking thing. You don't kind of go out and do that. You're really much more focused on your offerings online.
I like that because I spent 30 plus years getting on airplanes, Nathan, and it was brutal. I am putting my foot into the world of speaking a bit on sugar, but the talks I've done so far have really been somewhat voluntary, local. I haven't gotten on an airplane to ever go talk about that, except for doing the TV shows. I did go all over the country doing a TV news tour right when the book came out. And here's a great tip. Don't wait for the book to come out. By the time I was ever holding a copy of this book, I had 15 TV shows under my belt that I already did. I just grabbed my favorite book, Start With Why by Simon Sinek, had my own cover designed that didn't even look like this, put it over Simon's book, and went on all the TV shows because it was a great time to test the title, what I wanted to talk about, the reaction it got from guests. And that's done all the time. I mean, a book can be being written in publication, about to be published, and you can go on TV shows and talk about it. Not one guest ever opened the book and said, hey, this is Simon Sinek's book. It never came up. What they did more often was go for my segment proposal and highlight things and say, I love how in the book you talk about, and then they'd quote something from the proposal sheet as if they'd read the book. But boy, don't let anything stop you anymore. There's just no reason to have anything stop you unless that reason is so powerful and keeping you safe and you want to stay in that safe place. Then it's a great reason to not move forward. But make that decision consciously. Don't be a victim.
Right. So that ties in nicely to this. One of the big ideas that you share in the Showbiz Blueprint, which I'm hearing you kind of getting to, and I just wanted to kind of bring it front and center, is this notion of positioning yourself as someone that people trust. Key idea which you shared in that it's not about getting after the gigs. The gigs will come, but if you position yourself as someone who people trust and putting yourself out as someone who is willing to help people, and your name will stay top of mind for several reasons, but that being a big one, that let's get Barry because he helped us do that other thing, and he seems to know everyone in this market, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah. It's interesting. Seth Godin writes about our relationship economy that we now live in, and I really like reading Seth. And the relationship economy is it's valuable now because it can be done for so little money. You can do work one time and have it go to many people when you're sleeping. Whenever they decide that they want to hear from you, they can get something from you. Emails go out from me. There's probably a few that have gone out from different lists while we've been doing this interview. And those touch points connect with people. So yes, if we can do that work one time, right from our heart, really connect with who we are, stay authentic in our languaging. I at first started writing like every other bad writer, with this corporate we voice and corporate we speak. And boy, just throw that away and start being real in your communications. There's a way that people can get to know you while you're not even doing that work. I'm not currently writing that email, but it is going out to people. So yeah, what it comes back to for me is this mission statement right in front of me here, which I shared earlier. Does it line with that? And am I saying something to whatever that audience is, whatever any of those avatars are for the sugar-free? Am I speaking to them in a way that they see that I understand them, that I'm trustworthy, that I've done the work? I see so many coaches or teachers trying to teach things when they haven't done the work themselves, and that's very difficult. They don't know the struggles. They don't know What happens on day 1? What happens on day 5? What's the scary voice inside the head at night that keeps you awake, wakes you up in the middle of the night, refuses to let you go back to bed? What's the one thing that entertainers fear their family's going to think about them? What's a story that people who are overweight, what's a story that they carry around that clouds every interaction they have? When I can talk about that, because I've worked with so many people going through that, man, I can tell them a problem that they've never even told me they have. I can tell them a problem that they may not even know they've never even admitted to themselves they have. But when they hear it, they take a breath and they say, yeah, I have that. Let me see what else this guy can do. Let me see what I can trust him to do in my life. So it's a heavy responsibility to be a leader, to be a teacher. And you have to cover it in today's world with removing the risk. Like anytime, I say on my website, there's a 1-year warranty, 1-year guarantee on 30 days sugar-free if you didn't get what you came from. But I don't care. If somebody writes me 2 years later and says, I need my $50 back, I'm like, okay, that's fine. It's not about that. So we have to remove risk. Marketing has changed. The way we deal with our customers has changed so much in the last 5 years, 10 years that it doesn't resemble anything. And bless the people who are going to college and studying marketing right now. I hope they have someone who's teaching them something that matters and not old paradigms and what used to work. Because I see a lot of college catalogs. My nephew's UC Santa Cruz, and he looked through this book. He was looking through the catalog when he was here, and I was like, wow, most of this stuff doesn't apply anymore. And he goes, yeah, I know.
That's amazing that he knows that even, at 22.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah. And I think kids are so wise nowadays. My gosh. Yeah. A lot of the stuff that you or I had to learn as adults and had to maybe even force in because we didn't want to think about things changing our standard operating procedures for a lot of kids now. Yeah. Interesting. Good time.
So what's next, Barry?
I guess all that stuff.
Just more. I mean, continuing to help.
Yeah, I have a dream of helping 1 million people experience 30 days sugar-free. I'm moving towards that, but something will happen along the way. It's going to show up in a package that I don't expect it to look like, but it's going to go from having 100 or so people in a month to having 1,000 to having 10,000 to bigger and bigger ways for this to show up in the world. And that's one thing I really work on. Also ahead of me is more coaching. I've loved doing that. I've been doing private coaching for entertainers, and I just got my first client who's not an entertainer, doesn't own a thumb tip or can't juggle 3 balls. And helping him look at his life in business. And this guy's a millionaire doing really well in business, and just liked what he heard me talking about in another program. So that's a really big piece for me, is looking at how I can challenge myself to challenge others. And I just love doing that. And then also always the people 150 feet from here, helping my son get off the ground well. So he's going into high school next year. Somehow that happened. And see, this is the picture I look at every day, and somehow he's in high school. So so that's the one that helps drive me quite a bit, is how quickly that happens, and setting him up. I was recently telling him, and this is a great lesson for anyone in business, is we have these years in our life. And for him, I drew the analogy between kindergarten and 8th grade. And I said, that's like a flight from San Francisco here, and we're leaving and we're flying to New York. At first, the pilot's just kind of heading east. That's what he's doing. He's heading east. And I said, that's K through 8. And then now you're entering high school, and that's like where you start to enter the traffic pattern for JFK. And not that when you land at JFK, you can't take off somewhere else, but 9th grade is kind of like entering the pattern. And then you got your crosswind turn, and then you got your downwind turn, and then you got your base leg, and then you got your final. And those are like your 4 years of high school. So we just started talking about, what would you like it to look like when you land on the runway? And and opening that conversation. So that's a big piece for me, is helping. I also work with Boys to Men. I know that's something we may have talked about when we talked about the Mankind Project, but Boys to Men International Mentoring, I go and co-lead at least 2 weekends a year in different parts of the country, I love youth. I think one of the biggest problems with youth right now is they don't know their place in the world. And I love to sit in circles with boys, do these rite of passage adventure weekends where what their place in the world gets to come from the outside and celebrate that with them, challenge them. Is that big enough for you? It's a great question to ask kids. Is that big enough? Because, oh boy, they've never been asked that. More often they've been told they can't do that. Yeah.
Beautiful.
So that's kind of the next stuff. So
cool. So how can people reach you? What's the best way for people to reach you? Let's talk about some websites and whatever else.
Yeah, go over to you want to see me spit ping pong balls out of my mouth, you can go to raspini.com. If you want, I'll put that address down here. This website's actually currently being redone. I just hired someone to redo that. That website hasn't been redone since 2008, and I don't tour much anymore. I do a handful of shows a year for producers who already know and love us. But yeah, that website's going to be made a little more 2016 here very soon. That's at raspini.com. 30dayssugarfree.com is a place to look into the sugar world. What else do I have going on out there? If you're an entertainer and you want to see what's going on with Showbiz Blueprint, we're launching that here in the spring here, and that's at showbizblueprint.com. There's another link for that. And if you want to see my remarkably fast typing skills, I don't have a website for that, but I can type as fast as I talk.
And if people are interested in coaching with you, how would they reach you?
Yeah, just reach out to me through one of those websites. I don't have a coaching website. I don't advertise about it. People usually just kind of show up in my world and say, can we work together? So I like that. And yeah, I've really been enjoying working with entrepreneurs, some who are magicians and ventriloquists and singers and comics, and some who are running huge businesses that I don't know anything about, but I do know enough to help them stand in the fire and challenge them. So I like that part of it. So yeah, thank you, Nathan. Boy, really nice connecting with you.
Yeah. So I just want to make sure about this here. To me, from what I know of you, I would say that in terms of priority, if I can say that, 30 Days Sugar Free first, Showbiz Blueprint second, Raspini.com third, and or maybe that changes by the minute with you. I don't know, but
yeah.
Okay.
You know, I have theme days and hours within those themes, and I think I just kind of I give my heart to everything, and when something's not fun anymore, I kind of find an exit strategy. So.
And people can get your book on 30dayssugarfree.com. Yes.
Yeah, please, or Amazon.
Yeah. So do you have an Amazon link on that site?
I do.
Okay, I'll find it.
Love the paperback. This is bit.ly. bit.ly. Yeah. Oh, I messed that up. Boy, I was so close. Get that whole thing about typing fast.
Because you were talking at the same time.
Maybe, yeah. It's that second one that'll get you to the place on Amazon.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Great.
And that book's fun, yeah. That book is one part real life. It deals with something we all deal with sugar. It's kind of our story, and it helps define your story. The second part is the 30 days sugar-free program, day-by-day coaching for each day of the challenge. And then the third part is life look like going forward.
Cool.
Because great quote to end this on maybe is how we do anything is how we do everything. I don't think any of us can have some part of our life that's disconnected from the other parts. So a big part of the after work of this challenge is, what do you want to do next? I'm just as happy with someone who makes a commitment to go on for 30 more days sugar-free as I am with someone who says, hey, I've done it. I'm going back to Snickers bars. I'm like, good. Commitment is a good thing. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm sorry to put you on the spot, my dear man, but gotta ask you about the ukulele. Do you want to play it?
Oh, man, I can't. But we should click the button here and have Dano. Is he still here? Yeah, Dano's here. You should come on and play ukulele and talk about the greatest website for ukulele training, man. I don't know if you want to include that as part of your thing, but I'll do a duet. But if he buzzes in, man.
Yeah, the unfortunate thing, I've tried this. The unfortunate thing about online connection, whatever it is there's going to be a little bit of a delay between you and Dan, so you wouldn't be able to play together even if you wanted to. But just give us like a couple of bars or something.
Okay, I don't sing. I sing flat, and okay. You ever heard of a band called the Airborne Toxic Event?
Yes, actually, I think
I love them.
I just anyway. Something just happened like today that brought them into my awareness for some reason.
Wow. Oh, I love them. They're out of Los Angeles, and with ukulele, I started playing a lot of their songs, and this is one called California, and I'll just do the first verse. Let's see. Gosh, I feel so much pressure. Look at this. This is and Dano's watching. Dano, I'm sorry. I'm apologizing right now, man.
I'm sure he's delighted.
They're gonna write about us living here in this valley of the gathering dust as the waves come up and drown the light while we're jumping from buildings on a Saturday night. And the words she said, I could barely hear above the flare of the speakers and the smell of beer. She got up to speak. She lifted her dress. I remember her face, but I forget the rest. Here in California, I was just a name and a number, a face on a tumbler. Here in California, we're all stuck in the same scene of nightmares and daydreams. In California. That's it.
Oh, fabulous, man. Good. Nicely done. Nicely done. Beautifully done. I'm not kidding. That's great.
Oh, man. I love that. I love their work. And ukulele's been fun. I didn't even play. I think I'm on my third month of studying ukulele in a great online course called Play It Daily Uke.
Cool.
So, really fun.
Ukuleles are great. They're you can take them anywhere. They're immediate. Just pick them up and they're fun. They're friendly. And you've got a nice one, which is great. My
heart's beating right now, Nathan. You have no idea. That was.
I
would have rather you said.
You just personified.
You have 7 torches in there you could juggle.
You just personified what you talk about, man. You just put yourself out on the edge, and you just did it. And I congratulate you for doing that.
Yeah. Thanks so much, man. I love it.
Well, pleasure. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. My name is Nathan Aswell. I'm based in Vancouver, Canada, and I've been speaking to my good friend Barry, who is. Tell us where you are, Barry. I know you're in California. But
I'm right between Sacramento and Lake Tahoe. I'm up in the foothills of the Sierra Mountains.
Yeah. So, lots and lots of stuff of Barry's to check out. So I will post all those websites on the replay of this show. And thanks for spending some time with us. And please feel free to let other people know about this. I think Barry's got a lot of good stuff in here. Thanks, Barry. I appreciate your time. And thanks for all the good you do.
Thank you, man. You too.
Okay. Bye.
Small steps, big life.